Oh shit. Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm always doing something, huh? Get. Can't even see. I thought I did. Anyway. Um. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, you guys. So listen, if you give yourself a few minutes, 10 minutes actually, this is this meditation. If you give yourself 10 minutes to meditate with me and to start your day off, your week off, like if you go to work early in the morning, Eastern time, you won't catch my meditation at 8:30, so you take this in, right? It's on my neck. Okay, so this is Master Shri Karshna. If you could give yourself 10 minutes, if you're operating any heavy machinery or anything like that, driving, just listen. If you're whatever you're doing, just listen. You don't have to sit in a pose like me, but if you can, then you'll feel that great peace, right? Okay, 10 minutes. My anxiety is kind of cutting up this morning. And I'll tell you why. Now, you know my daughter's birthday just passed. So, my mother's anniversary of where she passed away is coming up, and the day we buried her was July 31st, and my birthday's August 1st, and her birthday was August 2nd. So here we go again. Excuse me, but we're gonna push forward, right? It is what it is. Like I know what it is, and I hope this helps you somehow, because sometimes, in life, I was thinking this morning, that, and I can't read your comments when my eyes are closed, remember, but I was thinking this morning how I had went through all these things, but God, and the universe. Is something wrong with I know it's not. I just, you know, seem like I ain't gonna say scared, but damn. Okay. I'm all over the place this morning. You know I am sometimes. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's see. This is Master Shri. Thought I had it in it. Remember, everything happens for a reason, right? Everything happens when and how it's supposed to. 10-minute meditation. Okay. Now, hopefully that gave everybody enough time to get in here, right? I was gonna write this, but I can't. So if my eyes are closed, you guys, I can't see the chat. And which one are we doing here? Here we go. What's that? What's wrong with the volume? Oh, it's all the way down.
I've sat with multiple women whose husbands are dead.
Wait, what's wrong with my internet? Hold on 1 second. Let me get on Wi-Fi. Cause that's crazy. Must be something going on in the area because my phone's been acting crazy this morning. Hang on, let me share Wi-Fi. Hold on 1 second. Thank you guys for being patient. I'm just gonna share Wi-Fi because that doesn't make any sense. Hotspot. Hold on, let me share Wi-Fi with this thing. Let's see. Hotspot. Gotta find
in the next room.
What? What? Hold on. Bluetooth connected. A16. Okay, that's why. It's already on. That's weird. Right? Trying to stop us from meditating. Not happening. You sharing?
Next room. And they look at me and they have said these almost identical words. I don't. Welcome to this guided meditation to help you unblock your chakras and balance out your energies. If you find a quiet space where you can be comfortably seated, with your palms facing up and your spine comfortably erect. If you take a deep inhale and a slow exhale, relax your eyes and gently close your eyes. Continue. Slow, deep inhale and exhale. Allow yourself to be entirely present in this moment now. As you hear the sound of your breath, the calming sound of your breath, you bring your attention, your energies here now. I'd like you now to bring your attention towards your crown chakra on the top of your head. If you take one slow, deep inhale into the crown, feel the energies at the crown and hold the breath on full breath. Hold. And while you're holding, you're feeling this pressure build up towards the head. It's becoming very strong, that pressure. And one fast exhale when you can't hold any longer. Allow this energy to be released and start seeing this ball of light travel down the crown as it activates and it's cleansed and balanced. like you to allow your attention now to move towards your third eye chakra, in between your eyebrows, just above your eyebrows. I'd like you to once again take a slow, deep inhale towards the third eye. On full breath, hold that breath and feel this pulsing sensation, this pressure that is building up towards the third eye. And when you can't hold any longer, again, one powerful exhale. Allow this energy to flush down your system and opening up and activating your third eye. While you're breathing, you visualize and you see this bright light activated towards the third eye. I'd like you to shift your focus towards your throat chakra. And now, again, take a slow, deep inhale towards the throat. Hold the breath there and allow that throat chakra to expand and feel this pulsing sensation in the neck until you can't hold any longer. And you exhale, you force that breath out and allow the throat to open up. This is your voice, this is your power. And this one is a very strong one. I'd like you to place your left palm on your heart and your right palm on top of your left. While your palms are there, feel the energies that is penetrating through the heart chakra. It's this pressure you feel, it's getting heavier and heavier. And we're going to release that pressure and unblock the heart chakra. If you take a slow, deep inhale into the heart. On full breath, hold that breath. Hold there, hold strong. That heart is expanding, it's pulsing until you can't hold any longer. Is when you take a powerful exhale. Allow the heart to open up as you feel this love, this joy, this relief towards the heart, all these sensations. Now slowly move your two palms down towards your solar plexus. Feel it in your energy center, on your stomach. I'd like you to take a slow, deep inhale into the stomach. And again, hold the breath on full extension. Hold it there, feel the fire in your belly, feel the warmth that is penetrating through the solar plexus. This is your motivation, your desire, your strength, your power. When you can't hold any longer, slowly exhale, relax. And slowly move the palms down towards the lower stomach area, your sacral chakra. These are your powers for manifestation, your creator energies. Feel the energies. It's warm, it's strong. Feel the sensations towards the sacral chakra. And take a slow, deep inhale. Expand the stomach and hold that breath. Hold there. Feel your creator energies being awakened. These are for your manifestation powers. And when you can't hold any longer, exhale. Allow greater energies to be activated. And slowly place your palms facing up once more. We're going to place our energies, our attention towards our root chakra. These are our foundations. This time, when you take the slow, deep inhale, I'd like you to create a root lock by squeezing the muscle towards the root. When you take a deep inhale, create the lock. Contract and hold the breath. Hold strong for 5, 4, 3, 2, and exhale. Release the root lock and breathe out. Relax. Take one deep inhale and a slow exhale. Relax your mind, relax your body, relax your soul, and allow your energies just to travel through your body and be flowing in oneness with the divine energies of the universe. This is your power, who you really are, in divine flow. And when you're ready, gently come out and open your eyes.
Okay, so let's listen to some positive affirmations. And do some skincare. Right? This is also Master Shri.
This is me now at 46, healed my 8 years of back pain after having kids, became a contortionist in 3.5 months past 40.
Goodbye.
I am a powerful manifester. I am full of positivity. My energies are activated. My energies are vibrant. And that's why positive things manifest in my life effortlessly. I feel good. I am good. And that's why good things come to me always. I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel on top of this world. I am a manifester. A manifester of love, of joy, of positivity. I am a magnet to opportunities. The best opportunities always come my way. Every morning, this is how I wake up. with a bright smile on my face, full of love, full of gratitude, full of joy and vibrant energies. I am a magnet to great things. My dreams, my goals are on its way. I feel the doors opening for me every day, full of new opportunities, full of light, love, and positivity. I feel amazing. I feel on top of this world. I feel abundant, and I feel connected to the infinite possibilities of the universe. I am the universe. I am one with the infinite and collective divine energies. Good things always happen to me. Great things always happen to me. Extraordinary things always happen to me. Because I am extraordinary. I allow these infinite possibilities and downloads and ideas to just channel through me. I am full of love, surrender, and trust. I trust in knowing that everything that comes to me comes through me. And those infinite, dreamy possibilities I allow to download through my vessel, and I ground it with solid foundations, a strong mindset, and a hard-working attitude. I realize the more I trust and surrender, the more I put efforts towards my goals, the luckier I become. Luck is always on my side. I feel like I'm the luckiest person alive. I have everything that I want, and I know there is much more to come. My day is bright. My day is full of positive surprises. I am grateful. I'm grateful for this powerful moment. I'm grateful for everything that I have. And I'm grateful for everything that is to come. Life is beautiful. Life is wonderful. Life is full of beautiful surprises. I'm forever amazed by how connected I feel to the infinite possibilities of the universe, the oneness with everything, and I feel this greatness inside of me. Every morning, I breathe these energies in, these powerful, bright energies. I allow this white light to shine from within, to be activated, and to radiate through me and beyond me. As I become a powerful magnet to everything that I want and everything that I've ever dreamt of, as everything comes to me easy and effortlessly. I understand that the universe will respond to my every word, to my every thought, to my every vibration, and to my every action. Good things happening to me is my deliberate creation, my conscious creation. This is the conscious being that I am. I am happy. I feel amazing. I feel humbly on top of this world. I am one with the universe. I am divine. I am special. And I absolutely deserve it all. I am worthy. I am enough. And I am the greatness that is required to attract all that I want. I am the universe. I am powerful. I am amazing. And all great things always come my way.
I'm going to share this with you because this is what I've been listening to this morning, right? Why not pass the blessing, right? I know. This is, I don't know, they might, let me see if I could get, this is Jonathan McReynolds. I don't even know if I might get in trouble though. I'm always getting in trouble. These people. I don't even know what happened with my TikTok account at all. I don't even know. I went to sleep one night and just woke up. Right. Wait a minute. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Because I'm listening to this too. Wait.
I think everyone should have one of these in the...
Let's see, where is it at? Where's it at? My mother. Where is it? I was going to listen to a song, but wait a minute. I was going to play Jonathan McReynolds, but I might get in trouble, so I'm not I'm just gonna play what I'm
My
listening to.
fiance ran off with my friend a week before our wedding and left me a text message ending our relationship. 3 years later, she reappeared wanting to get back together, but I'm already married to someone she despises.
Wait.
My fiance ran off with my friend a week before our wedding and left me a text message ending our relationship. 3 years later, she reappeared wanting to get back together, but I'm already married to someone she despises. Before diving into this emotional disaster, let me give you some background. I grew up in a small town outside Denver, in a middle-class family where my parents worked hard to give me a normal childhood. My dad was a mechanical engineer at a manufacturing plant, and my mom taught 3rd grade at the local elementary school. I have an older sister, married with 2 kids, who now lives in Chicago. We're not super close, but we get along fine during holidays. Throughout high school, I was an average student. I played soccer, though I wasn't a starter. My grades were decent, but nothing scholarship worthy, and I had a small group of close friends, most of whom drifted away over time. I wasn't exactly a ladies' man. My first serious relationship happened junior year, lasting about 8 months before she dumped me for a guy who, among other things, had his own car. I went on to Colorado State for computer science, and it was in college that I started to find my groove. I made solid friendships and discovered I was pretty good at coding. While I still wasn't a standout in the romance department, I had a couple of relationships that lasted a few months each. I graduated with a respectable GPA and landed my first job at a small tech company in Denver. I wasn't the kind of guy girls usually paid attention to. Average height, about 5 feet 7 inches. I started noticing my hairline receding at 25, and while I stayed in shape, I wasn't particularly striking. Just a regular dude who enjoys watching sports, playing video games, and hanging out with friends. I drive a 2017 Subaru that I'm still paying off, and I have an uncontrollable addiction to spicy food and those videos of people power washing dirty driveways. Thrilling stuff, I assure you. By the time I turned 27, I was settled into adult life. My own apartment, albeit a modest studio near work, slowly climbing the ladder at a network security firm, and student loans paid off. The dating scene was a mixed bag. Lots of first dates from apps that never went anywhere. Then I met Jessica at a tech conference in Las Vegas. My company sent me to man our booth, which was about as exciting as watching paint dry. That's where I saw her. A 25-year-old woman with long blonde hair, green eyes, and the kind of smile that makes you forget what you were saying mid-sentence. She wore pencil skirts and blouses that combined professionalism with a subtle hint of her figure. Someone who wouldn't have given me a second glance in college. Somehow, during lulls in the conference, we ended up talking. She laughed at my dumb jokes and seemed genuinely interested in my work, which focused on network security for healthcare providers. At the happy hour on the second night, the conversation stretched for hours. She gave me her number, and I spent the rest of the conference feeling like I was walking on air. My friends told me there had to be a catch, and my best friend, Dave, even commented, "Dude, she's like a 10, and you're a 6 on your best day. What's her angle?" But I was too captivated by those green eyes to see the red flags. The thing about Jess was that she knew exactly how attractive she was, and she wielded it like a superpower. In restaurants, a simple smile would get us the best tables. On flights, flight attendants upgraded her for free, and even traffic cops let her off with a warning. I felt lucky to be with her, like I'd won the lottery. What I didn't realize was how much she thrived on that attention. If we were somewhere she wasn't the center of attention, her mood would plummet. She'd become sullen, claim a headache, or complain about the restaurant, the movie, or whatever activity we were doing. Plus, she was always on her phone, at dinner, in bed, even when we were out with friends. I assumed it was normal for someone in marketing, always busy building her personal brand. I later found out she ran multiple Instagram accounts with different personas: fitness, professional, and Jess_babe, among other carefully curated versions of herself. The first red flag I should have noticed was how she treated service workers, sweet and polite until something wasn't perfect, and then suddenly she'd transform into someone with an inflated sense of entitlement. I remember one time a waitress spilled water on our table, not even on her, and Jess demanded to speak to the manager, leaving the poor girl flustered while I sat there uncomfortably, not knowing what to do. But the intimacy was amazing. She was stunning, and when she was in a good mood, she made me feel like the most important man in the world. I recognize now it was classic manipulation, but back then, I was hooked. After 6 months of a long-distance relationship, me in Denver, her in Phoenix, with frequent visits from me and a few from her, things seemed to be working. Then, Jess's company opened an office in Denver and offered her the chance to relocate. She called me, thrilled about the opportunity, and I was ecstatic. Within 2 months, she moved to Denver and into my apartment. Living together brought unexpected adjustments. My formerly bachelor pad
Wait,
gradually
no.
transformed. Suddenly, there were decorative pillows, framed motivational quotes, and plants everywhere, and my gaming room gave way to what became her personal Instagram studio. But I was happy to have her there, regardless of the changes. As we passed the 1-year mark, I started noticing more red flags. She'd become irrationally jealous if I mentioned a female coworker or surprised me at the office during lunch, which I later realized was her way of checking up on me. She even went through my phone while I was sleeping. When I confronted her, she claimed she was just adjusting my alarm. We'd been together for 2 years, and after a year of dating, I proposed. I did it at a fancy restaurant, the cost of which set me back a month's salary. While she hinted that she'd expected something more spectacular, apparently, she wanted our proposal video to go viral. She accepted nonetheless.
What happened?
Sometimes
Oh.
it's not the words, it's the silence between them.
Oh.
11 Labs brings breath to your words.
What you say matters, but how you say it, that's what stands out.
Try it for free today.
Hey, what's the new Wi-Fi password?
New Wi-Fi, all lowercase. Cleaning lady's coming today.
Okay.
Luizia.
What, Luizia? Am I saying it right? Oh my God. Look at the Wi-Fi. It's booming.
Nonetheless, I bought the ring she'd been tagging on Instagram for months, a 2.5 carat rock that forced me to take out a $15,000 loan. Then came the wedding planning, and I handed over my credit card without hesitation. $30,000 for the venue, $5,000 for the dress, $10,000 for food and drinks. Even though I was racking up debt, I thought it was worth it. This was my forever, I thought. Jess wanted a spring wedding at a vineyard outside Boulder, with 200 guests, half of whom I barely knew, and every detail designed to be Instagram-worthy. My parents were concerned about the expense and tried to subtly suggest scaling back, but Jess became inconsolable for 2 days, accusing them of not accepting her into the family. Feeling weak, I sided with her, which caused a rift with my parents that took years to heal. 8 months of intense organizing and planning went by, and we were just a week away from the wedding. Everything was paid for, non-refundable deposits everywhere. My college buddies were en route for the bachelor party, and Jess's bridesmaids had just had their final dress fitting. We'd finalized the tasting at the vineyard and locked down the menu. I was stressed about the finances, but excited for the impending nuptials. I thought soon all the planning stress would fade away and married life would begin. I noticed Jess seemed distracted, which I attributed to the inevitable last-minute wedding details. She was spending increasing amounts of time with her planning team, which included my friend Mark, who'd moved to Denver a year earlier and, oddly enough, had become friendly with Jess. He was helping with the playlist for the reception, which in hindsight, should have been another red flag. Since when did Mark care about wedding playlists? Just a week before the big day, I'd just finished a conference call with a client. I checked my phone and found a text from Jess. I can't go through with the wedding. I've met someone else. I'm so sorry. I hope you'll understand someday that this is for the best. Just like that. 2 years together, $50,000 sunk into the wedding, and she ended it with a text message that probably took her 10 seconds to type. I immediately called her, but it went straight to voicemail. I tried again. I sent messages. I even called her mother. No response. Heartbroken, I drove to her apartment. I was so distraught that, in my confused state, I ran a red light and almost caused an accident. When I arrived, she was gone. Half her clothes were missing. Her makeup vanished from the vanity, like she'd evaporated from my life. I sat on the bed we'd picked out together at IKEA, the same bed we'd argued over assembling, and stared at the wall for hours. Meanwhile, my phone kept buzzing. The caterer was confirming final numbers. My cousin was asking what time I was picking up the rented tuxedo. My mother wanted to know if I decided on the centerpieces. I couldn't answer. Words escaped me. Finally, I called Dave, my best friend since college. He arrived shortly after and found me sitting on the bed, staring at my phone. "What's wrong, man?" "You look like someone died," he said. I handed him the phone with the message open. He read it, and as his expression morphed from confusion to shock to anger, he exclaimed, "She texted you?" That's when I broke down. Not a movie-style cry, but gut-wrenching sobs in front of my best friend, who sat beside me, his hand on my shoulder, letting me get it all out. Between sobs, I asked, "What do I do now?" "The wedding is next Saturday. Everyone's coming. We've paid for everything," Dave replied. "First, we call everyone and tell them it's off." The next 24 hours were a blur of phone calls. Dave took charge of notifying all the vendors, while I had the unenviable task of explaining to my family that the wedding was canceled. My mother sobbed uncontrollably. My father was tensely, threateningly silent. My sister offered to come stay with me, despite having 2 small children. The hardest calls were to my friends, who were already on their way to Denver. My college roommate, Mike, was on a layover in Chicago when I reached him. He could barely believe it, exclaiming, "Seriously?" She just bolted. My cousin Alex, who'd already landed, rented a car and came straight to the apartment, luggage and all. That night, 4 of my closest friends stayed with me. They were all in shock, furious on my behalf, and baffled as to where Jess was or who this someone else was. 2 days later, I found out who this someone else was. Mark, a college friend, my former roommate for 2 years, the first person I confided in about my plans to propose, and whom I'd even asked to be one of my groomsmen. Dave confirmed it, spotting them together at the airport, kissing passionately at the international departures gate, luggage in tow. He sent me a picture, almost as if he wanted me to know they were headed to Bali, the honeymoon destination we'd dreamed of together. To add insult to injury, I checked our joint account, and $15,000, our honeymoon savings, was gone. She'd withdrawn it 3 days before sending that text. In that instant, it all hit me. All those wedding planning sessions Mark had been present for, the times Jess went out with her friends and came home late, the sudden password change on her phone, the way she'd get defensive if I asked about her day. It had all been happening right under my nose for months. I went through our photo albums and social media feeds, and the clues were everywhere. Mark lurking in the background of some pictures, Jess tagging him in comments with inside jokes I didn't understand, him checking in at places we used to frequent. I realized I'd been played, and I'd been too naive to see it. That night, I lost it. I started throwing her belongings, the ones she'd left behind, into garbage bags. I deleted every picture of us from my phone, blocked her on every social media platform, and even changed the Netflix password, a petty act of revenge that provided a fleeting sense of relief. Then came more calls, notifying the 200 guests that the wedding was off, facing the pity in their voices, and repeatedly explaining that I was as surprised as they were. Even Jess's parents contacted me, confused, as she told them I had called off the wedding and that I had cheated on her. Her father went as far as to threaten me over the phone, until I forwarded him the text message and the photo Dave had sent. Then he went silent, apologized, and hung up, never to be heard from again. The vendors were not sympathetic. Refundable meant the venue kept $3,000. The caterer returned a measly 10%. The florist gave back nothing. The photographer, to his credit, refunded half his fee. My credit cards were maxed out for a wedding that would never happen. The next day, I received an email from Jess, devoid of any apology. She simply requested that I send some sentimental items she'd forgotten to her parents' house, as if this were just a minor disagreement. I didn't respond. Days later, Mark sent me a text. "I know you're hurting, but when you calm down, I hope you'll understand that you can't choose who you love." That line was the final straw. I threw my phone against the floor with such force that it shattered. The next 6 months were the darkest of my life. I lost 30 pounds because I couldn't eat, sleep, or focus at work. My performance slipped so badly that my boss put me on a performance improvement plan, a polite way of saying, shape up or ship out. I couldn't sleep in the bed we shared, so I ended up on the couch. Unable to break the lease, I was stuck living in an apartment filled with memories, while Jess and Mark plastered their adventures all over social media, showcasing trips to Bali, Thailand, and Australia, funded with the money we'd saved together. My friends did their best to help. Dave and Alex practically moved in with me for the first month, making sure I ate, showered, and left the apartment. My sister stayed for a week, her kids filling the place with noise and life. But when everyone returned to their own lives, I was left alone with my thoughts, which grew increasingly dark. I replayed every moment of our relationship, searching for the signs I'd missed, questioning what was real and what wasn't, and whether she'd ever truly loved me at all. The worst part wasn't losing Jess. It was losing my trust and faith in people. I started seeing several therapists who kept telling me,
"Is your child struggling with a gaming addiction? Major companies behind games like Minecraft, Fortnite, and Roblox
kept telling me, this isn't about you, it's about her. But when someone discards you like trash, it's impossible not to take it personally.
Yeah.
I kept going to work, though it was like being on autopilot. Finally, my boss called me into his office and said, "Ryan, everyone knows what happened. Take some time to clear your head." So I took 3 weeks of leave and went to stay with my parents, retreating to my childhood bedroom. My mother cooked my favorite meals, and my father, without asking questions, involved me in his house projects, fixing the deck, painting the garage. The physical labor kept my hands busy and my mind off the pain. When I returned to Denver, I decided it was time to reclaim my life. I bought a new phone with a different number. I created new social media accounts. I changed the locks on the apartment and got rid of anything that reminded me of Jess. I even painted the walls and rearranged the furniture. 7 months after the Jess debacle, I was finally in a better place. My new job was challenging but rewarding. I'd made friends at the office and, on a whim, had taken up rock climbing, something I'd always wanted to try but Jess had never appreciated. I started eating healthier, going to the gym regularly, and, finally, sleeping through the night. It was at the climbing gym that I met Alexis. She was 30, a physical therapist, divorced, and no kids. She wasn't the conventional beauty Jess represented. She had unruly curly hair, avoided makeup, and dressed for comfort rather than fashion. But her deep brown eyes seemed to see beyond the surface, and her laugh had the power to lift everyone around her. Our first conversation happened when she pointed out that my climbing technique was a recipe for injury. Not exactly a traditional pickup line, but she was right, and she offered to correct my form. And, surprisingly, that chat turned into coffee, which led to dinner. The following week, still extremely cautious, on our third date, I told her about Jess, expecting her to bolt. To my surprise, Alexis shared her own divorce story. Her ex-husband was a functioning addict who'd hidden his problems until after the marriage. They'd been divorced for 2 years. "We all have scars, Ryan. The question is whether we let them define us," she said. We took things incredibly slow. No kissing on the first few dates, no meeting each other's friends for the first 3 months. With Alexis, there was a calmness, no drama, no games, and no constant distraction of checking her phone every 5 minutes. She was present, genuine, had her own apartment, friends, and a life. She didn't try to merge our identities into one indistinct blob like Jess had. She didn't post about us on social media because she didn't need external validation for what we were. What she did require was honesty, respect, and communication. I remember the first time we argued about something trivial. I don't even remember what it was. I braced for the silent treatment or manipulative tactics I'd grown accustomed to with Jess. But Alexis simply said, "I disagree, and here's why." And we talked it out like adults. It took me months to stop expecting another shoe to drop, to stop thinking she'd suddenly reveal some hidden agenda, because with Jess there had always been an angle. After a year, I felt secure enough to suggest moving in together. We found a small rental house. It wasn't fancy, but it had a yard for Alexis's dog and was close to both our jobs. Moving in together was the complete opposite of the Jess experience. No power struggles over decor, no endless selfies documenting every corner, no arguments over whose stuff was more important. 6 months later, I knew she was the one, not in a desperate, clingy way like with Jess, but with the quiet certainty that comes with finding your home. I proposed at the summit of a mountain, after a grueling hike that nearly killed me due to my poor physical condition. No fancy restaurant, no audience, just us and the view. She said yes, and I didn't even care that her fingers were too swollen from the climb to try on the ring. A simple, modest band she liked, without the flash of a status symbol. We got married at the courthouse 6 months later, with just our immediate families and close friends present. Jess was a distant memory. Instead of a $5,000 dress, a $30,000 venue, and a lavish reception, we used the honeymoon money to put a down payment on a small house. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe again, like the Jess chapter was finally closed. Or so I thought. Until 3 years into my marriage with Alexis, the past came knocking. One Saturday morning, I was mowing the lawn when a white Range Rover pulled up. I initially thought it was someone lost, as our landscaping had grown so much it resembled a maze. Then she emerged, Jess, looking unmistakably Jess-like, as if everything she wore was designer, fresh from the salon, hair perfectly styled, and rocking a casual look that clearly cost a fortune. But there was a hardness in her eyes I'd never seen before. Ryan.
Home is where the key is. Visit thekey.com to unlock a new chapter for aging at home.
Pods has storage that comes to you. Use it to downsize or declutter, renovate or reorganize. Keep it at home.
Ryan, she said, like we'd seen each other yesterday. You look good. I turned off the lawnmower and asked, what are you doing here? Jess flashed that smile that once made my heart race, but now just caused a knot in my stomach. I've been thinking about you, about us. I made a huge mistake, she said. And she actually chuckled when she said she'd been thinking about us, as if we hadn't stopped being us 2 years ago, as if she hadn't drained our accounts, run off with my friend, bailed a week before our wedding, and now expected to pick up where we left off. She stepped closer, and I could smell the same perfume that used to be her signature scent. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be, but what we had was real, wasn't it? You still think about me, she insisted. I'm married, I stated firmly. Her eyes flicked towards the house. For a split second, her face registered pain before snapping back to the mask so many knew. Just then, Alexis opened the front door. Holding a mug of coffee, she was wearing my old college t-shirt and shorts, hair messily piled on top of her head. Jess looked her up and down, a sneer forming on her lips. Hi, I'm Jessica. Ryan and I were engaged, she said, as if Alexis were just a temporary placeholder. The implication made my blood boil. Alexis calmly walked over, put her arm around my waist, and said in a steady voice, I know exactly who you are. Why are you at our house? Jess, focused solely on me, asked to speak privately. Can we talk alone for a minute? I didn't let her finish. Say it here, in front of my wife, I replied. She let out an incredulous laugh. Come on, Ryan. This isn't you. Living in a little house in the suburbs with her. Look, when you used to say I was the one, we had plans, a life, plans you ruined. I told her to leave. I made it clear she wasn't welcome. Her expression changed completely. The facade dropped. You can't be serious. You're really choosing her over me. Look at her, Ryan. Then look at me. You know who you really want. At that point, Alexis stepped forward. He already made his choice. 2 years ago, the second you showed your true colors. Get off our property before I call the police. Jess reacted as if she'd been slapped. She tried to appeal to some shared past, to what we had. You know how good we were together, Ryan. Tell her how good it was. I simply shook my head. It's over, Jess. Don't come back here. As we turned to go inside, she yelled after us. This isn't over, Ryan. You'll realize what a huge mistake you're making. She'll never make you happy like I could. We locked the door, but a sense of unease settled over me for the rest of the day. Jess had never been good at taking no for an answer, and when she got something in her head, she didn't usually give up. My gut feeling was right. Over the next 2 weeks, she launched a full-blown offensive to win me back. First came the texts, dozens of them, from different numbers to bypass my blocks. Then the emails, and somehow, she'd gotten Alexis's work number and was bombarding her with calls at the clinic where she worked. The texts varied, pleading, please, Ryan, let's talk. I know we can fix this. Manipulative. Remember how good we were together? Nobody knows you like I do. Threatening. You have no idea what you're losing. You'll regret this. Delusional. We're meant to be together. You know it. She's just a rebound. I saved them all, but I didn't respond. Alexis and I agreed that engaging would only make it worse. And then it escalated. She showed up at the reception desk at my office, causing a scene and forcing security to intervene. She somehow got my parents' address and sent them a rambling letter, begging them to help me see the light. My worried mother called to ask what was going on. I explained that Jess wasn't well and asked her to ignore anything she sent. Jess even created a fake Instagram account to follow our friends and gather intel on our lives. She'd leave comments on old pictures of me, pretending we were still in contact and working on things. I had to personally warn my friends not to engage with her if she contacted them. The final straw was when she confronted Alexis in a supermarket parking lot. She followed her to her car and unleashed a tirade about our relationship, claiming that I would always love her more and that Alexis was a temporary obstacle. My wife came home shaken. She didn't believe a word of it, but she found Jess's behavior so unhinged that she was genuinely afraid. She wouldn't let me close my car door, Ryan. She kept saying you were her soulmate, that I was just a phase. She's unbalanced. That was it for me. I decided it was time to put a stop to it. I did some digging and discovered Jess's life had completely fallen apart. Mark, the guy she'd left me for a week before our wedding, had dumped her for someone younger. After squandering her savings on bad investments, she'd lost her marketing job during a round of layoffs and hadn't found a steady position since. At 31, she was living back with her parents, saddled with debt, and desperate to find someone to fix her life.
Buying this boat was a total no-brainer.
Whoa, no-brainer? If you got a new boat, the smart thing to say is, like a good...
Fix her life. A mutual acquaintance filled me in. She's been talking about you for months, Ryan. Says you're the one that got away, and that bailing was the biggest mistake of her life. I'm telling you, she's not right in the head. I realized I'd become her new lifeline. I had a job, a house, stability. In her mind, she just needed to get rid of Alexis to slot herself back into my life. So I hatched a plan. I got a burner phone and texted her, pretending I still had feelings for her, that maybe she was right about my marriage, that I needed to see her. I suggested meeting at a coffee shop. She took the bait immediately, responding with enthusiastic texts and emojis, like she'd won the lottery. Alexis was worried. Are you sure? She's dangerous. That's why I'm meeting her in a public place, I explained. And I'm recording everything. We need to shut this down. Asking nicely isn't working. I went to the coffee shop, and sure enough, Jess was already there, wearing an outfit that screamed anticipated triumph. The look on her face told me she thought she'd won. I sat down across from her and let her talk. She launched into a speech about how she always knew we were meant to be, how leaving me was her biggest regret, and how we needed to start over. Then, I pulled out my phone and pressed record. Let's be clear, Jess. You left me a week before our wedding to run off with my friend, Mark. You took $15,000 from our joint account. You spread the story that I cheated on you. Now that Mark's dumped you, you're broke and want back in. Am I wrong? Her expression morphed from confusion to anger in a split second. That's not fair. I just made a mistake. A mistake, I repeated. Like harassing my wife at her job, showing up at my parents' house, creating fake accounts to stalk us, using different phones so I couldn't block you, following Alexis in a parking lot, and threatening her. I didn't threaten her, she snapped, her voice rising, looking around nervously. I just told her the truth about us. There is no us, Jess. Not anymore. I'm married, and I'm happy. If you contact me, my wife, or anyone in our families again, I'm taking this recording and all the evidence I've collected to the police and filing for a restraining order. She glared at me. You wouldn't. Leaning closer, I said in a low voice, try me. I've already spoken to a lawyer. I have proof of stalking, harassment, and threats. They'll make you stay 500 feet away. If you violate that order, you go to jail. Your choice. Something inside her seemed to break. Don't do this to me, Ryan, she said, her voice trembling. I have nothing. Mark took everything. I'm living with my parents. I'm jobless. I need you. Should have thought about that before you threw us away. I replied, noticing genuine fear in her eyes for the first time. Then, I delivered my final blow. Actually, I do have something for you. I pulled an envelope out of my pocket and handed it to her. She opened it cautiously. Inside was a check stub and a business card. What's this? She asked. It's a donation I made in your name to a women's shelter that helps victims of toxic relationships escape. For the exact amount of money you took from our account, $15,000. Her jaw dropped. She couldn't speak. And that card is for a therapist who specializes in narcissistic personality disorder. I've paid for your first 5 sessions. That wasn't entirely true. I just picked up the card at a mental health event at work. But the look on her face was worth the small lie. It's money I wrote off a long time ago, so I don't need it. But you need help. Real help. Not another relationship to leech off of. Get therapy, fix your life, and stay the hell away from mine. I stood up and left her sitting there, staring at the receipt and the business card. As I walked away, she called out, "Ryan, please, I'm sorry. I'll do anything." I didn't even turn around. I left the coffee shop and walked to my car, my hands shaking, not from fear, but from relief. I'd finally said everything I'd wanted to say for years, and I felt like I'd taken back my power. As soon as I started the car, I called Alexis. "It's done. I don't think she'll bother us again." When I got home, she was waiting on the porch and hugged me without saying a word. We stood there for a long time, in silence, sharing a moment of pure peace. That night, Jess sent one last text. "I'm sorry for everything I did. You won't hear from me again." And surprisingly, she kept her word. She deleted her social media the next day, and a mutual friend informed me that she'd moved back to Phoenix to live with her sister. Apparently, she'd had some sort of breakdown after our meeting and finally decided to seek professional help. The lawyer I'd consulted with had the paperwork ready for the restraining order, but I never had to file it. Jess vanished from our lives. Hopefully for good. Update. Alexis and I are expecting our first child in a few months. It's a girl. Life is quiet and good. I sometimes think about what my life would be like if I'd married Jess. Probably constantly stressed, second-guessing her lies, buried in debt from her extravagant spending. Instead, I'm with someone who loves me for who I am, respects me, and faces problems with me as a team, instead of manipulating me. I still occasionally have nightmares where I'm back in that apartment, staring at that text message that changed everything. But then I wake up with Alexis beside me and feel a profound sense of relief. As for the $15,000, I did donate an equivalent amount to a women's shelter. They sent me a thank you letter, explaining how they were using the funds to help abuse survivors rebuild their lives. It was the best way to finally close that chapter and turn something painful into something positive. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming store.
Wasn't that cool? That's what I was listening to. So listen, I'm going to go. It's 1:30. You guys have an amazing day. Wait, let's listen to one more, right? I'm going to listen to this one too. Why not?
A lot of people don't know this, but the best way to prevent divorce, stop separation, and win your wife back.
Let's listen to that too. Because I'm getting ready.
For my birthday, my wife kept saying something big was coming. When I got home, the
Wait, what?
house was empty, and hours later, I found my family at a beach resort. 3 days later, they wouldn't stop messaging me. It was 3:27 a.m., and I was alone in my house, looking at vacation photos from a trip I was, to my surprise, not invited to. After 25 years of marriage and 2 grown children I thought I'd raised well, I felt not only forgotten, but deliberately excluded on a day that should have been special. To understand what happened, I need to go back 2 months. My wife, Willow, started acting strangely as my 50th birthday approached. Hushed phone conversations, abruptly closing her laptop when I entered the room. Even my 20-year-old daughter, Piper, would give me knowing smiles and say, "Dad, you're going to love what we have planned." My 23-year-old son, Thomas, who has always been indifferent to family matters, also dropped hints. I won't deny that I got excited. Turning 50 is a milestone, and although I didn't expect anything excessively expensive, we're a family that lives comfortably, but without luxuries. The hints made me think of a surprise party. Keep in mind that Piper consumes a good chunk of our savings with her college expenses, and last month I contributed $4,000 to the down payment on Thomas's first apartment, something I hadn't budgeted for, but I did without hesitation because, as a father, I always give my best. The atmosphere of secrecy led me to believe they were organizing something special. Willow always asked me to be patient, and even my father-in-law, Otis, who rarely calls me, except to ask for help around his house, contacted me last week to find out when I was taking the day off for my birthday. I told him I had already requested the day off the previous Tuesday, but at 6:15 a.m. on my birthday, my boss called. There was an emergency at the Riverside project, a main pipe had burst, and there were equipment problems. Once again, it was up to me to fix the problem. I called Willow from the car to let her know I'd be late, and although her tone was distracted, she reluctantly agreed and hung up without further ado. So I spent my day dealing with work emergencies, while no one at work even realized it was my birthday. Still, I held out hope for what awaited me at home. On the way back, I even bought a bottle of good whiskey, thinking I at least deserved that on my birthday. At 5:53 p.m., when I arrived, I noticed there were no extra cars parked and the house was completely dark. There were no decorations, no cake, no wife, no children, and no explanatory note on the counter. I checked my phone, no messages. I tried to contact Willow, Thomas, and Piper, but without success. By 7:30 p.m., I was sitting alone at the kitchen table with that unopened bottle of whiskey, wondering if there had been an accident. I called the local hospital and Willow's sister, Lindsay, but got no answer. Finally, at 8:14 p.m., still alone on my birthday, I opened the bottle and poured myself a drink. It was at that moment that I decided to check Instagram, where, unexpectedly, I saw a photo posted 3 hours earlier. There they were, my whole family, Willow, Thomas, Piper, Otis, his wife Kinsley, and Lindsay, smiling on a white sandy beach, cocktails in hand, at a luxury resort. Thomas had captioned the photo, "Family vacation mode activated. He won't even notice we're gone. LOL." The comments didn't help matters. Willow replied with a laughing emoji, and Lindsay mocked what she called workaholic husbands who don't appreciate the good things in life, while Piper appeared in the photo wearing sunglasses and enjoying herself as if she were in paradise. I couldn't help but scroll through more pictures, group dinners, jet ski rides, poolside selfies, all dated and geotagged at a resort I'd never heard of, starting 2 days ago. That Alanis Morissette song about irony came to mind. Was it ironic that, for years, I felt guilty for working too much, for missing school events, for feeling exhausted on weekends, all to provide for my family? Piper's college fund, into which I've deposited $500 monthly since her birth, the down payment on Thomas's apartment, which prevented me from replacing my 10-year-old truck, the mortgage, which I've always paid on time, and the vacations I could never take because something more important always came up. I don't know what came over me, whether it was shock, anger, or a strange calmness, but I decided not to react immediately. I didn't call, I didn't text, and I didn't comment on the posts. I simply poured myself another whiskey and started to think clearly. My first action was to check our bank accounts, and sure enough, I discovered that $4,000 had been withdrawn from our joint account last Friday, the exact same amount I had given Thomas for his apartment. This couldn't be a mere coincidence. I checked previous posts and noticed Otis had been commenting on a special family trip for weeks. This wasn't a spontaneous act. It was planned behind my back, even on my own birthday. By midnight, my state went from hurt to anger to a cold calculation. I opened my laptop and started documenting everything. Screenshots of the posts, bank statements, a detailed timeline of the lies they had told me about the supposed surprise. Sometimes people forget that the quiet, reliable man, who is always there, observes every detail, and when he reaches his limit, he knows exactly where all the secrets are hidden. That night, I dedicated myself to creating a complete accounting of our 25 years of marriage, laid out in Excel spreadsheets. Who paid for what, who contributed, and what sacrifices were made. The numbers told a story they certainly wouldn't like to face. Around 2 a.m., while checking my email, I discovered something else, a credit card statement in Willow's email. We used to share passwords at one point. That card had accumulated a debt of $113,000 over the past 3 years, with charges for designer clothes, spa days, lunches with Lindsay at $200 each.
When someone has dysautonomia, there's a misfiring so that they're not balancing each other out. The sympathetic fight or flight is overfiring, and there is an inability.
Lunches with Lindsay at $200 each. The most shocking, recent charges from the resort, already totaling almost $6,000. I'm not one to shed tears easily, but I must admit that, seeing those numbers, I felt an intense pressure, not of sadness, but of anger, questioning how I could have been so invisible to the people to whom I've given so much. The next morning arrived with no messages of concern or congratulations. Only more beach photos and a video of Thomas singing karaoke with Otis, with the comment, "Dad would hate this." LOL. I showered, went to work, and upon returning, checked social media again. The second day of their vacation was in full swing, with Willow's friends commenting on how heavenly the resort was, to which she replied that it was an escape from real life. The same life I was living. With another sip of whiskey, I decided to act. First, at 9 a.m. on the second day, I called the bank to redirect my next paycheck to a new account. Then, I contacted my friend Cody, who had gone through a divorce last year, and asked him for his lawyer's number. Finally, I started moving Willow's belongings to the guest room. I didn't rush. I acted with the meticulousness of someone who discovers termites in the foundation of a house. When you have termites, it's not enough to cover up the damage. You have to excavate, assess the extent of the destruction, and decide if the structure is worth saving. That's how I felt during those days they were on vacation at a resort, while my own birthday had been forgotten. It was the third day of their absence, and the second after they had overlooked my birthday, when I finally received a casual message from Piper. "Hey Dad, how are you doing?" There was no mention of their location or the fact that they were at a beach destination. My birthday, a personal milestone, seemed not to matter to them. An hour later, Thomas sent a message asking if I had left his laptop charger in his old room, without clarifying anything about where they were. I didn't reply to that message either. As the afternoon progressed, the messages started to become more anxious. Willow asked if I was angry and called me twice. Thomas sent a strange message, commenting that Mom was a little upset and asking me to answer her. Instead of replying, I decided to post my first Instagram photo in months, a picture of me at home, with a birthday cake I had bought at the supermarket. No caption, no tags, just a date stamp. It was then, at 9:44 p.m. on the third day of their absence, that my WhatsApp was flooded with messages. Message after message arrived. Willow, in a complete state of panic, insisted with a, "Norman, are you there?" And as the hours went by, the tone intensified. By midnight, I had counted 47 messages spread between texts, WhatsApp, Instagram direct messages, and emails. Willow's last message simply said, "We're coming back tomorrow. Please be there. We need to talk." I replied with, "We'll talk, but first I have to make one last stop to change the door locks." It was my way of drawing a line, of making it clear that some lessons about not taking people for granted should be set in stone, not written in sand. Update. I want to thank everyone for the support on my last post. I didn't expect thousands of comments. Some called me clueless. Others said I should burn it all down. I appreciate the fervor, but I've always been more of a slow burn kind of guy. The first message arrived at exactly 9:44 p.m. from Willow, insistently asking, "Norman, are you there?" Meanwhile, message number 47 at 3:28 a.m. pleaded, "Please answer me. I'm on the verge of a breakdown." In 25 years of marriage, I had never ignored my wife, nor had I left her alone in her moments of anguish. Even during our worst arguments, I always answered the phone. However, that night I found myself unable to sleep. I stayed in the backyard, watching the messages continue to arrive, while I reviewed the updates on Instagram. The contrast was abysmal. Willow wrote desperately, "Norman, please answer. I'm worried." While on her profile, she appeared smiling in a beachfront restaurant 2 hours earlier. Thomas seemed apparently calm, tagging himself in videos on a jet ski rental. And Piper sent tearful voice messages from a poolside cabana. Around 5 a.m., I took advantage of the early morning to make coffee and meticulously document every detail. Screenshots of social media, bank statements, message conversations. I printed everything and organized it into a folder. It sounds extreme, but that process helped me organize my thoughts. The new lock and handle set, still in its packaging, rested on the kitchen counter. I wasn't sure if I should install them, as I felt that crossing that line could mark a before and after. At 7:15 a.m., I received the first call from Otis. I let it go to voicemail. His 2-minute message started with concern and ended by telling me I was behaving like a child. Classic Otis. He had always implied that I wasn't good enough for his daughter, criticizing my modest house, my reliable truck, as a way of saying that I hadn't achieved the success he expected for Willow. I went to work as usual. My day was interrupted by urgent messages. Thomas exclaimed, "Dad, This isn't funny anymore. Mom is having a meltdown. Piper pleaded.
Oh, nobody's here. Okay, so I'm leaving. That's my
Dad,
kid calling.
This isn't
Have a
funny
great day.
anymore. Mom is having a meltdown. Piper pleaded. Dad.
I'm alone, so have a great day if anybody hears me.